Howdy guys, Mine again for the last week of the EZMU Defense Grid tournament. This is Last Stand Story Mode. This is the non-juggle version of the map. There's also going to be a separate video that covers juggling on this map, and that works pretty much like you'd expect on any map. Let's go ahead and get going. There are the two entrances that double as exits. All of these platforms connected by multiple ramps give you a whole lot of options for mazing, and the core housing is accessible on two sides. The build starts slightly after 1,600 resources, at least on this version. On Poison Core, obviously that's not going to happen. But since we're just playing story mode today, that shouldn't matter. The point of these first couple of waves is really just to get them mostly dead and not handing off to the runners in Wave 3. Which worked out pretty well, actually. Now we're going to block this off because we're going to force them to travel past this area as much as possible. The reason we've chosen this as our kill zone is because the flyers come through this area. And as the map progresses, at least in a non-juggle version, you're going to wind up with multiple kill zones. But this is going to work out just fine, at least for our purposes of not juggling the map. Or at least it would if I had not just done something incredibly stupid. Okay, we're just going to backspace and ignore the fact that I'm a complete idiot. And we are going to set up to actually kill the flyers this time. Killing the flyers is good. It allows them to not take your cores. As you can see, most everything is dying well within range of this red command tower here. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to allow probably quite a bit of dead air in this map because there are long sections where I don't really do anything except wait for things to run into towers and slowly die. I'm going to build a command up here since a lot of things seem to be dying up in this area, and as things get actually towards the cores, that's going to happen again. As you can see, that being green there is not really giving me the coverage I wanted, so I'm going to go ahead and send it to yellow. Got one guy trying to make off the core, and he's not going to make it. This is, I believe, the introduction of the Juggernauts, which are the shielded version of Crashers, and can be quite irritating. Especially when the guns decide to not pay attention to them and kill the racers instead, although I suppose that's a good thing, overall. As you can see, we're getting plenty of kills in our secondary kill zone there. And we may actually need to build up some more at this point. This is going to wind up being our tertiary kill zone as the map wears on, but hopefully this guy's going to take plenty of damage as he tries to steal cores, and yes, die. Once again, I apologize for having the great deal of dead air here. There's not really a whole lot to talk about, aside from what I suppose are the amazing opportunities. Obviously here, I'm going to go ahead and route them down. I'll build here and here to force them around the longer path. It's possible to use significantly more of the map. In fact, I'll probably wind up building something to force the top guys along through here, send them up and around and back down. Put a cap there to force these guys up into the lower half of that. Yeah, there are all sorts of options on this map as far as making things travel huge distances. This is probably the map where a lot of people actually get the achievement for having the aliens take a path that takes longer than 5 minutes from entrance to exit. At least once they've set up a viable maze. We're going to go ahead and start setting up our tertiary here, since obviously things are starting to get on towards the core housing and start trying to take things away from me. Which is not something I particularly like them to do. As you can see, this new wave of flyers isn't much to talk about. I upgraded everything to yellow to kill them, however. For checking the differences between this and the juggle video to follow, this is wave 17, and I was slightly above 9,000 resources in the bank. I don't recall exactly what that number is going to be for the juggle version, but roughly double is probably going to be an accurate number. Alright, let's go ahead and build out this area a little more. Since we have so many shielded enemies on this map, I'm going to go ahead and throw up the Teslas. That's probably not the greatest place in the world for them. Earlier along the run, so that they can take care of shields early, is generally better. Once again, one of these areas you're going to wind up with things dying, and so you can throw a command later if you're so inclined. If not, you can leave these guns green and you're not going to lose a whole lot of stuff there, but it just depends on how much you want to build out other parts of the map, really. No, Fletcher, there really isn't much left of them after the guns. Or the Teslas. Or the missile towers. I suppose the only way they could kill themselves on a temporal or a command tower is if they ran into them. Now I'm going to go ahead and build this area out, since they are making significant inroads with the turtles. Interesting. Okay, yeah, once again, that's me not paying attention and letting my cores run off because another flyer wave came. I kind of wondered if I could do that with all yellows, and now I know the answer. There we go, that took care of all of the flyers in a reasonable amount of time. I'm going to go ahead and block this area off now, and we'll force them to follow the following path here. So the bottom entrance is now going to go up through here and around this way. The top path is going to follow this route, and if I block here, they'll have to follow all the way around and meet up with the bottom route coming in here. I'll also make some final additions here. This should give me coverage on the vast majority of the map with the meteors to hopefully take out everything without allowing them to go off stealing all of my cores. Another reason to have the command tower up here is to allow them to shoot stuff in this range and not lose valuable command bonus when they die. And it looks like aside from one, either Crasher or Juggernaut, I forget which he was, we are just about done. The meteors ought to take care of him before he gets into any kind of an area where me debuilding over here is going to be an issue, so I'm going to go ahead and do so. This is to gain some final extra resource ticks from interest. And he's dead, everything's dead, hurrah hurrah. That is last stand on a non-juggling version. As you can see, it can get quite a bit hectic, but it is still beatable. $120,000 plus full cores remaining. This ought to end up in the 170-ish range, depending on how long this is going to tick out, which is apparently longer than I was expecting. 193 non-juggle. Well, that's better than my previous non-juggling score by quite a bit, to be perfectly honest with you. And it only took several mistakes and at least 3 false starts where I allowed handoffs to the runners before I actually got a video that I could show you guys. So there is one more video coming that is going to be Last Stand Juggled. It's going to wind up using quite a few more towers than that. As you can see here, the non-juggle version took me 52 towers, of which I wound up selling them all and upgrading about half of them. So with that, once again, I am glad that you guys enjoyed the tournament. I hope these videos have helped you at least in some respect to gain a greater appreciation for the game, and maybe in some cases to even play a little better. So one more video to come, and have a good one, guys.